The air hung thick and humid, a slick sheen on every surface. Rain threatened, a low rumble in the distance echoing the city's own heartbeat. Tokyo, a living, breathing thing, pulsing with neon and the constant murmur of millions. Skyscrapers clawed at the sky, reflections distorted in the puddles already forming on the pavement. Even at twilight, the city never slept, never truly quieted. Maya hurried along the crowded street, navigating the throngs with practiced ease. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, the insistent vibration a counterpoint to the cacophony around her. She ignored it, her focus entirely on the address scribbled on a scrap of paper. A lead, whispered to her by a contact in the dead of night. A story too strange, too intriguing to ignore. Kokoro no Mura, Village of the Soul, S1. Maya, a young journalist, hungry for her big break, lived for these moments. The whispers, the rumors, the stories that lurked in the shadows of the ordinary. She'd built her career on chasing them, on giving voice to the forgotten and the strange. This latest lead had arrived like all the others, shrouded in secrecy and a hint of danger. A string of unexplained occurrences, her contact had said, his voice barely a murmur on the other end of the line. Strange happenings centered around a small shop in the Shinjuku district. Kokoro no Mura, he'd called it. Then silence. The line went dead, leaving Maya with nothing but a name, an address, and a gnawing sense of curiosity. Some doors are not meant to be opened. The bell above the door chimed as Maya entered, the sound strangely out of place in the oppressive silence of the street outside. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of incense and dust, a heady combination that tickled her nose and sent a wave of dizziness through her. She blinked, her eyes struggling to adjust to the dimness. The shop was smaller than she'd imagined, crammed floor to ceiling with an eclectic assortment of objects. Antique scrolls sat beside chipped porcelain dolls, their painted smiles unsettling in the half-light. Tarnished silver jewellery glittered menacingly from a velvet-lined display case, and a chipped samurai helmet perched precariously atop a stack of faded tapestries. Each object hummed with an energy that sent shivers down Maya's spine. Behind a counter cluttered with scrolls and strange talismans, a figure stirred. A man impossibly old, his face a roadmap of wrinkles and time.
Welcome to Kokoro no Mura. You seek something, I think.
I heard stories about this place, about the things you sell.
The old man chuckled, a dry, rattling sound.
Ah, stories. There are always stories. It is the truth they often obscure.
He gestured to a shelf behind him, his long bony finger pointing to a pair of spectacles nestled between a chipped teacup and a tarnished silver hand mirror. The glasses were unlike any Maya had ever seen. The frames were crafted from a dark, heavy metal, etched with intricate carvings that resembled eyes. But it was the lenses that truly captivated her. The left was a deep, almost black obsidian, while the right shimmered with an otherworldly emerald green.
These are special, the eyes of the blind they are called. Legend says they grant the wearer the ability to see beyond the veil, to peer into the hearts of men.
See what others desire.
And what they fear. But be warned, child. Some truths are best left buried. Some sights, once seen, can never be unseen.
Maya reached out, her fingers hovering over the cool metal of the frames. The weight of the glasses in her palm was surprisingly heavy. They felt cold, almost alive, as if a faint pulse thrummed beneath her fingertips. Despite the shopkeeper's warning, a thrill of excitement coursed through Maya. Stepping back out onto the street, she carefully settled the glasses onto the bridge of her nose. The world shifted. Colors seemed to intensify, the neon lights pulsing with an almost tangible energy. Her gaze fell on the people around her, their faces now more than just a blur in the crowd. The rain began to fall in earnest, a torrential downpour that hammered against the pavement.
I just need to catch my breath.
Maya ducked into a narrow alleyway, seeking refuge beneath a closed ramen stall. She noticed a faint shimmering at the edge of her vision. A distortion in the air, like heat rising off asphalt, but colder. There, a figure coalesced from the shadows.
We see you.
It was tall and gaunt, shrouded in a swirling mist. It had no features, just a void face and glowing eyes.
No, it can't be real.
Panic clawed at Maya's throat, threatening to choke her.
I have to get out of here, away from these cursed glasses, away from this city.
She ran, her feet pounding against the wet pavement. The rhythmic slap of her shoes the only sound in the empty street. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to get away from that alleyway, from the chilling emptiness that had stared back at her. The rain soaked through her clothes, plastered her hair to her face, but she didn't slow down, not even for a moment. As she ran, she cast frantic glances over her shoulder, half expecting to see the shadowy figure materializing from the mist, its cold, empty eyes boring into her back. But the streets were deserted, the only movement the swaying branches of trees and the swirling eddies of wind-blown trash. She ducked down a side street, her lungs burning, legs screaming for respite. She pressed herself against the wall of a building, her chest heaving, trying to slow her ragged breathing.
Get a grip, Maya. Think rationally.
Days turned into sleepless nights. Maya couldn't shake the feeling of eyes on her, watching her every move.
The city, it feels like a labyrinth of shadows now. Every corner, hiding unseen observers.
Sleep offered no escape. Her dreams haunted by whispers and glimpses of shadowy figures with cold, empty eyes. She tried to write, to make sense of the experience, to warn others about the dangers lurking within the walls of Kokoro no Mura. But the words felt hollow, inadequate to capture the sheer terror that had gripped her soul.
How can I possibly explain the unexplainable?
She returned to the alleyway, drawn back to the scene of her unraveling like a moth to a flame. The rain had stopped, leaving a heavy humidity hanging in the air. The street was deserted, the silence broken only by the distant drone of traffic. She stood there for a long time, her gaze fixed on the spot where the figure had materialized, searching for an answer, an explanation, anything that could make sense of the madness that had overtaken her life. But there was nothing. A shiver ran down Maya's spine, a mixture of fear and a strange, unsettling curiosity.
I should leave them, walk away and never look back, but...
She knew she should leave them there, walk away and never look back. To put as much distance between herself and the horrors they unleashed. But even as her mind screamed at her to flee, her hand reached out, drawn to the glasses by an unseen force. She picked them up, the metal cold and damp against her palm. She stared down at her reflection in the mismatched lenses, her face pale and drawn, her eyes wide with a mixture of terror and a strange, unsettling acceptance. The shopkeeper's words echoed in her mind.
Some sights once seen can never be unseen.
She had glimpsed the truth, the terrifying reality that lay hidden beneath the surface of the everyday. And in doing so, she had opened a door that could never be closed. With a sigh of resignation, Maya slipped the glasses back onto her face.